keep from going under. It's like a jungle outside, sometimes I wonder how I keep from going under. We scream Black Lives Matter, but we still toting ladders. Watching our own brothers trying to get at us. Dreams get shattered when a scene full of crackers and they charge you with some shit you ain't do. You like what happened? We go get lawyers, say shit we don't know how to talk. They taught us to hate each other before we learn how to walk. Mama taught you how to fight before she taught you how to write. And daddy locked down in the cell, can kiss you night. Monsters under the bed, every night feel like a fright night. Coke fumes in the air, mama holding on that pipe tight. And you catch your contact, but never mind that. In a world where black is wrong and white right.
What's up, everybody? This is Kayon of the Northway, and today we'll be interviewing an athlete from out west. He's a basketball player. His name is Othniel Spence, and he's an aspiring pro, and he's been through a lot out there, and he's done some great things for the culture. And today I just want to get his story and make sure you guys understand what he's doing. So how you doing today, bro?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain.
Yeah.
So let's get right into this. What was your experience like going to school in Vancouver?
My experience in Vancouver was definitely like culture shock a little bit. Being out west, things are a lot slower compared to Toronto. There's not a lot of, busyness within the city. As well. The diversity is different. So me being a black male, the diversity is a little different with just the population and the population density. So just kind of like getting out of my shell as well. Just getting, when I was playing in Vancouver, playing at Simon Fraser University, it was a good experience. Like, I really enjoyed my experience and I'm thankful for it. But yeah, it was definitely out of my walk.
Yeah,
for sure.
I understand, bro. So while you were out there, you had some different experiences with racism, and like to be totally honest, like I never thought in my mind like Vancouver, you could experience that type of thing, because we're in Canada at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And there's a narrative that there is no racism in Canada. So you had some instances where other students like keyed your car. So how was that?
So that just like you, that was a little bit of a shock for me. I knew that racism is a thing in Canada for sure, and I didn't believe that false narrative. But at the same time, it was interesting because I never would have thought that would have happened to me, because I never really like made enemies with people in Vancouver. And so when one day I was just getting ready to go up to a meeting, and I walked outside my house, and my car was just different. Like I saw that it was like scratched, and I was like, oh, like maybe I scratched it the other day or whatever. So I walked up to it, but then I saw it was like actually like wording, and so it spelled like NIGER, and we all know the notion like where that person, whoever keyed it, was going with. And for me, that was such a shock. Like I was standing there for about like 5 minutes just like in disbelief, just like trying to take it in, thinking I was dreaming, but like it actually happened. Like I tried to rub it off, didn't work. I was like, all right. So I called my parents, and I was like, yo, mom, dad, like I need some help. Like somebody did this, somebody keyed the N-word in my car. And they were telling me to like, call the police and just explain your case, and they should like send somebody over, right? But for me, it was just a little bit confusing, because I called the police, and they told me that this was a car mischief case. So, yeah. So I was explaining to the operator on the phone, I was like, yeah, so I would like to file a report. And they were saying that, oh, someone keyed your car. And I was like, yes. Then they spelled the N-word. And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to put this under car mischief. And I was like, no.
It's a hate
Let's say it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's a hate crime.
Yeah.
And the lady on the phone was just like, no, like we don't really like do that. And I was just like, what do you mean you don't do that? Like this is a hate crime. It's clear. And so like even arguing on the phone, I said, could you at least send somebody to come down and like check it out, possibly ask my neighbors and investigate, because she asked me if I had surveillance in my house. And for me, I didn't have surveillance in my house, being a student. living very close to the school, I didn't think there was going to be, you know, a crime
Yeah.
and such that I would have to record or have surveillance in my house knowing the security. And so I told her, like, oh, I don't have surveillance. Like, I think I don't really have that, and I was just wondering if you could send a detective or send a, you know, an officer to come and ask the neighbors, you know, if they have surveillance, to ask the neighbors if they have cameras, if they saw anything. And she was like, no, like, we're not going to send anybody. And I was like, okay. So, like, for me, like, at that moment, like, I'm already feeling distraught. Like, I'm already feeling, like, betrayed by the community. I'm not feeling safe in where I am. Because somebody knows where I live, and they also know what I look like. And so, for me, I'm like, oh, like, my safety is definitely at stake. Can you please send somebody to help me, just make me feel secure in the sense that you are doing something in order to solve the issue? And with them saying no, for me it was like, okay, so the people that are sworn to protect are not protecting me. So now I feel like my back is against the wall. And so during that time, like, I had a rough time just like trusting others, as well as just like always having like eyes on the back of my head, just like always just looking around, like viewing the environment, seeing what people are there, what type of people are there, if I'm getting any weird looks. And there was like a point where I was like staring out my window for like, you know, when I was home, just staring out my window, seeing if anybody's, you know, coming up my car or looking at my car different or something like that, you know, like just, I was like looking out, I was like, ready to pounce. Yeah. But unfortunately we didn't catch the dude or female who did it. And so that was like probably pretty frustrating. But I got a whole ton of support from friends and family and teammates and some staff members at SFU. I think for me, I just wanted to have that support from the school as a formal letter or formal message / email that, hey, we're here to support you, and we're here to like help you if you need any help. But not receiving that at like initially for me was tough. It was tough on me because being a man of faith, like, I'm grounded in, you know, my belief in Jesus Christ, and that my value and my worth is through him. And maybe for another athlete that doesn't have that, you know, type of belief in something else, like, they think their identity is shaped and formed in either their performance or their identity with the school. Yeah. And so for not receiving that support initially, like, that can be very traumatizing, as well as like that could cause a lot of hurt and pain for somebody. So yeah, it was all overall like that story. Definitely, I wish there was like a result of somebody was found and somebody confessed. But at the end of the day, like, God's got it in control, and so like I trust him with it. And
100%, bro.
So yeah, so, you know, for me, like, that burden is, you know, it's kind of over with. Like, even talking with counselors about it and really like trying to like, you know, hash those things through. Like, for finally receiving, you know, an apology from the school. Like, the week later, the mayor of Burnaby, so where I was living, like, he went out of his way to like send, you know, an officer down, which was cool. And so like there were things that happened over time, but like definitely at that moment it was just hard.
No, definitely, bro. And sorry to hear that, but I'm glad everything worked out in your favor. I don't think the officers really understood, like, okay, like, for them to figure out like that's his car and to figure out that, you know, he's black, they had to be watching you. Yeah. To see where you live, what type of car you drive. So that can really affect anybody. And was that like your first time experiencing racism? Did you experience it in the GTA, or is it just like?
I think like overt racism, yes, that was the first time. But like definitely like microaggressions or things that were like under the rug type like different types of racism was obviously like a thing that I've experienced, just like, you know, either being followed in a store by security or getting looks by others for being in a place that, you know, doesn't have like my kind of like black people. So yeah, like I felt like for me in Vancouver, there's only, and this is a funny fact, but like there's only 1% of the population is black in Vancouver.
It's nuts.
Yeah. And being that 1% for me, like I take it upon myself to have a reputation, not just for myself,
Yeah.
but for black folks in general.
Yeah.
So having that, I guess like people call it pressure, having that pressure to have like, you know, to be in a good, have a great standard and obviously have a higher standard than most, but also like having a behavior that's commendable. That is like looked at as like, wow, like, you know, we don't really see like black people in our area, and so like having like somebody that is, you know, shows utmost respect, that handles himself well. I don't want to fulfill stereotypes or prejudice or have that prejudice that is formed by others.
Yo, that's dope, because you have the pressure, and people for people who don't understand this, like as a student athlete, you're representing the school, and some people get caught up in just representing the school, but there's an added pressure now because you're not just representing the school, you're a black student, you're 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So any little thing you get caught doing can be like, this
up.
is black people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like for you to have that awareness and that pressure, like I commend you for even like withstanding that. With that said, like this is a crazy thing. Like your school had a history. It was named the Klansmen.
Yeah.
Then they reduced it to the Klan, and you know you said a lot of in the off camera. You said a lot of your athletes were ridiculed for that name when you would go play against other schools in the States.
Yep.
And it kind of like, I guess, motivated you to start a petition to change the name, and you got it done. So like, what went into that, and like, what was your experience with that?
Like, I think, yeah, like my experience for that was definitely something that I've never have happened to me before, in a sense where I was driven for change, and I was driven for like institutional change, and seeing that, you know, seeing like the Black Lives Matter movement, and seeing like the killing of George Floyd, and the other people that were also like, you know, unfortunately like murdered by police. It really showed like woke up something within me that like I need to lead something that I've always believed in. And so I've had this belief of the name change for about 3 years. And so I wanted it to be executed before I left. And so me and my friend Marie really started this petition and really started this movement towards the name change, and getting like the student athletes involved, the coaches involved, even staff members at the school. And so for me, this all started in, I want to say March or April. And for me, I'm finishing exams. I'm also starting summer school. So I was in summer school. I'm aspiring to go pro, and I'm trying to carry on this name change. And so for me, there were days where I would sit at my desk from like 9 in the morning to like 5 at night, just receiving like phone calls or sending emails, or having interviews.
Wow.
And so for me, like that was a big burden. It left me like emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
It left me like mentally exhausted. And so for me, like just being in that spot, really like asking God for the love and support and the energy and the strength to continue on with this fight. And it was definitely tough. Like there were days where like I was like, man, like I don't even think this name's gonna be changed. Like I don't think that the president's really gonna sign on this. I don't think that, you know, I'm doing enough, or I don't feel inadequate. I feel inadequate. I don't feel like my value is there. And so there's a lot of people that really spoke out and encouraged me to continue and to press on, you know. And for me, like I saw like the people that were against the name change, and I saw like the people bringing up their conversations, and it was mostly folks that didn't understand like my perspective as a black man. Like imagine yourself being a person of color, and you are carrying this name called the Klan, and let's say your family has a history of encounters with the Klan, right? This is tough, right? That's tough to take on, because now like your family's like not ridiculing you, but criticizing you for being at that school, criticizing you for your worth and your identity with that school. And so there is an extra burden that students of color have to carry with that name alone. Being in the airport and explaining it to a random person, or being or even showing up to a game. So my first NCAA game, we were playing in Seattle. My first NCAA game. Before we got on the court, we were watching the game before, and a dude came up to me and he's like, "Oh, like, what team are you?" And I was just like, "Oh, like Simon Fraser." He's like, "Oh, what's your team name?" And I was like, "The Clan." And he was like, "Oh, like, we don't do that here." And like, for me, I'm like, all right, so I already got the pressures of playing my first game. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy just comes out and just says that. And I'm like, you're right. You know? Like, you're right. I'm not arguing against it, because this name shouldn't be this name. You know, because obviously it has an origin, like a Scottish origin behind it that means like a family or a close-knit brother or sisterhood. But at the same time, it's been weaponized. You know, it's been weaponized against people of color, especially.
Yeah.
And so, for students of color at the school, I'm just like, man, this is definitely like a trigger. This is a trigger for trauma, trigger for pain. And so, like, my speculation is, with this name change, and it did happen, by the way, with this name change, I really see the school's dynamic and diversity changing. Like, I see students of color coming to the school more that are athletes.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, like, this is my vision for the school, because I see that there's going to definitely be, like, more student athletes that come with the name change. Because coming from the States, and you're on a visit, and you love the school, but their name's a Clan, you know, like, it's like, oh, I can't.
It's different over there in the States.
Racism's different.
Yeah.
And so, being Canada's only NCAA school, having that name, you're not making a good reputation for yourself.
100%, bro.
So,
Nah, that's dope, man. I fully understand that, bro. In doing all these things, did you face any type of backlash from, like, any students? I know you faced your car being keyed, but you faced, was there a lot of support around it?
There was a lot of support, but there was also, like, students that were against it. There was a lot of people that were older. I would say, like, you know, seniors, or even like older people, plus 40. Let's just say that dynamic of alums, as well as like people that went to the school, that were against the name being changed due to their reputation with the school, or like their time with the school.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I respect that, and I honor that they attended the school and that they, you know, they performed and played with SFU. With that said, you know, like, no disrespect, but their time's up. You know, like, it's times change, and so do generations.
Yeah.
And so, receiving that backlash from, like, the older group of folks, like, I understood their arguments, and I wanted to share, like, the perspective of a younger student, because, like, being, you know, in your place as an older gentleman or older woman, and saying that, you know, the Clan name is not racist. It's not Clan with a K. Like, it's not this, it's not that. And I'm like, yes, but let me put you in my shoes now. You know, and so I think, like, with the article that I wrote, with the Park Journal, I wrote it with the Park Journal, and I really think I really examined, you know, my perspective as a student athlete of color, and also being in that generation, that younger generation. I think people can really, like, you know, take a look at that and see, like, oh, like, this is what they went through, or this is what he went through. I can't imagine what, you know, some of the students from the States go through.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I think it puts guys like you in danger too. Like you said, like, in the States, you know, States is kind of crazy over there. Like, let's say that guy didn't want to have a conversation, he wanted to fight you or attack you. So I feel like this was very necessary, and that's amazing, bro. So, like, I know this, obviously, like, as you said, it was very hard emotionally. It's very tough. Like, what got you through these times? I know you're a man of faith. Like, was it God? Did you have mentors? Did you have people pouring into you? Like, how was that?
So I had, like, all of it. I had the Lord that I was going to, but I also had support from my brother, as well as, like, family members and close friends. And I had a couple mentors that were really just speaking into this name change, and speaking into, you know, God was really trying to use me to, like, leave a legacy at SFU. And so, like, a lot of folks were really showing me, like, this bigger picture that, like, you know, this is going to be known for, like, years. decades, you know, with this name change. And so I was really just like anticipating like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I was really anticipating. I was like, I'll go through it. I'll go through hell, like right now. Like I'll go through the fire, as long as like there's a result in the end, and as long as like there's a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like we really like that happened, like that resulted, like God really brought that to fruition. And so for me, like knowing that like my identity, my value is in Jesus, instead of, you know, my performance on the court or this name change or my identity with SFU, it really drove me to like, you know, something bigger. Everybody has the notion of saying bigger than basketball, and so
Yeah.
you know, I wanted my footprint or my legacy at SFU to be bigger than
Just
basketball.
basketball. That's amazing, bro. And I think that a lot of hoopers watching this interview should take note of that, because like, you know, we got caught up and we're just so focused on basketball. This is my identity. That when we lose it and we're done, it's hard to transition now.
Yeah.
Because we're not thinking past the moment. We're thinking about now, not later. So that's amazing that you said it. So like, with that said, like, what's the next step for you?
I think the next step for me is definitely I'm aspiring to go pro and play overseas in Europe. Outside of that, I'm looking into going into teaching as well. So after pro, I'm gonna be going to teaching. So typically like social studies, sociology, and possibly counseling. Just trying to be, you know, like that leader for especially like black athletes, black kids. Trying to show them that, you know, like you are worth so much more than what the world says you are. Even now, you know, we're really growing to that step of really showing like equity and equality in our fight for that, but also just investing. These young men are young kings, you know, and these young women are young queens. So really trying to like show that and really trying to invest into like that community.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. It's something, especially growing up, obviously, as two black men, like, we don't address emotional and mental pain and trauma.
Yeah.
Kind of like taught to like just sweep it under the rug. So, again, bro, I just want to commend you for what you're doing.
Appreciate that.
You have our full support. With that said, like, where can people get in contact with you? How can they support what you're doing?
Well, like, you guys can support me. The name has changed, so
Yeah.
the support was there, and I thank you guys for that. But you guys can follow me on Instagram at Othniel Spence, so OTHNIEL, as well as Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook as well. So yeah, hit me up on that.
All right, man. That's dope, bro. Appreciate you coming out here today and letting the world know about your story.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother.
Make sure you guys go subscribe on YouTube. The website's dropping soon. Let everyone know about the Northway. Let everybody know about Othniel. Appreciate you guys tuning in, man. That's dope, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.